Okay, I'm filling in for Bonnie today. All right. So here is the words that you know perhaps as the Beatitudes. You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope. With less of you, there is more of God and His rule. You're blessed when you feel you've lost what is most dear to you. Only then can you be embraced by the one most dear to you. You're blessed when you're content with just who you are, no more, no less. That's the moment you find yourselves proud owners of everything that can't be bought. You're blessed when you've worked up a good appetite for God. He's food and drink in the best meal you'll ever eat. You're blessed when you care. At the moment of being careful, you'll find yourselves cared for. You're blessed when you get your inside world, your mind and heart, put right. Then you can see God in the outside world. You're blessed when you can show people how to cooperate instead of compete or fight. That's when you discover who you really are and your place in God's family. You're blessed when your commitment to God provokes persecution. The persecution drives you even deeper into God's kingdom. Not only that, count yourselves blessed every time people put you down or throw you out or speak lies about you to discredit me. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort and they are uncomfortable. You can be glad when that happens. Give a cheer even. For though they don't like it, I do. And all heaven applauds. And you know that you are in good company. My prophets and witnesses have always gotten into this kind of trouble. Today's message title, how do you interpret it? How blessed are you? Is it an exclamation? How blessed are you? Or a question? How blessed are you? Would you answer differently if you had the correct translation of the words? The word so often translated into English as blessed should be translated from the Greek as either fortunate or happy. Now, what is your interpretation? How fortunate are you? How happy are you? The list of who is happy, blessed, or fortunate is what is also known as the Beatitudes, spoken by Jesus at the beginning of perhaps the most famous message ever delivered, the Sermon on the Mount. Not coincidentally, very early in his ministry. About 85% of the words in the Beatitudes are directed to those. He's referring to people who might not even be there. It's only at the end when he switches to using the word you and says that we are blessed when we are insulted or persecuted. Up until then, it's not us being blessed, it's them. It's easy to make something about us that isn't necessarily meant to be about us, isn't it? How easy it is to say, "Blessed am I when I feel depressed, for I will be comforted." How strange does it sound to say, "Happy am I when I feel sorry for myself"? You might know somebody that seems to be only happy when they are making everybody else miserable. But that isn't the way Jesus said it. Jesus has a large crowd, kind of like the stadium-size revival of his day. There's bound to be people among them who are in mourning, who are thirsty for justice. They really feel put down by the man. They're seeking peace, but he calls their attention away from themselves and towards those, whoever they are. Jesus is teaching right from the Hebrew Scriptures, what Christians usually call the Old Testament. He's using sayings from the Psalms and the book of Proverbs. And some of these words have even been found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. He is speaking about the challenges in life that anyone is bound to face if one takes up the causes of the prophets. Happy are those who find wisdom and those who get understanding, from Proverbs. Happy are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord, Psalm 119. The righteous walk in integrity. Happy are the children who follow them, Proverbs. The Beatitudes of Jesus also echo the prophet Micah, who said, "What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God." My favorite verse in the whole Bible, Micah 6:8. It is impossible to live Micah's words if we are focused on ourselves. It's impossible if we think we stand alone and that we can wall ourselves off from others. It is impossible without compassion. If you want to be happy, it goes like this. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. Sounds like something Jesus might have said. He's kind of saying that in the Beatitudes, right? It's actually a quote from the Dalai Lama. Christianity doesn't own the only path to truth. Nor do Americans. And I'm definitely thinking the Russians not so much either. We Americans have nobly established our liberties on the right to self-determination. But how often in our dealings with others, whether as Christians or as Americans, we turn that around and claim the self to right determination, as if we are the only ones who could possibly get it right. We've seen some protests and marches recently that have been exercised by people expressing their rights. There's no need for me to comment on what Jesus would have to say about the behavior of destroying property. And I too am disappointed about profanity-laced comments. But please allow me to explain why the Women's March last week really struck a chord with me. The day before the inauguration, at 8:21 a.m., I get a text from a woman requesting $50 from the church to get her driver's license reinstated. I spent the next 6 hours trying to do several things. Verify the truth to her story, find out how $50 was really going to remedy the situation, get permission to make the payment, and then actually make the payment. Here is a woman who had one life circumstance cause her world to collapse. Before this woman and her former husband were divorced, but while they were legally separated, she got pulled over for speeding. Yep, she admits she was wrong. And how many of us deserve to get pulled over and didn't, or maybe got pulled over and didn't get the ticket? It happens. She produces her driver's license and insurance card only to have the officer return to the car and inform her that her insurance is no longer valid. Turns out her husband had canceled the policy. Now she's cited not only for the moving violation, but also fined for driving without insurance, and her license is suspended. Not having the money to reinstate her license and pay the insurance, but still needing to get to work to support the child of whom she has custody, she continues to drive illegally. What were her choices? Lose her job and have no money for rent or food or utility bills? So you know what happens next. Of course she is cited for driving on a suspended license. And her fines grow. And her cycle of paying towards one debt while not being able to pay off another just digs a deeper hole. This went on for years. And then she lost her job this past November. And whatever her fines initially were, she still owes $1,230 after our $50 payment, which the Bureau of Motor Vehicles assured me would get her license reinstated, the $50 payment. Happy are those who never have to face these kinds of problems. So what do her problems have to do with the Women's March? Now, this is not a story about a man coming to the rescue. Let's be clear on that. Disproportionately, men make the rules that affect women. Of the 537 elected officials in Washington, D.C., how many are women? Only 20%. Of the executive order signed this week that directly affects women, how many women were in the photo op? 0. On average, women make 4% less than men for the same job, according to the organization Pay Scale. And when compared to all income, women earn 25% less than men. Fortunate are those who are male. During the Women's March, it was reported by Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire that there is a plan to dismantle the office that handles violence against women. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 women have been victims of violence in their own home by their partner. Blessed are those who have someone to turn to. So what does the Women's March have to do with anything? Like I said a couple weeks ago, what if women wait for men in power to do the right thing. Some people have their world tumbled down on top of them. Sometimes, yes, because of bad choices they made. That's why Jesus offers forgiveness. It's not our excuse for judgment. Some people have the nerve to say those people have it coming to them. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. Was Jesus saying true happiness can only be found in working for others, in the causes of seeking consolation, justice, and peace? Now, we cannot be happy if we do not mourn with the grieving. We cannot be happy if we do not seek to right wrongs. We cannot be happy if we are fortunate enough to not be hungry and do nothing to serve those who struggle. We cannot be happy if we do not work for the cause of peace. And our thanks for these efforts will find us treated like the prophets, mocked, criticized, even persecuted. Not a very compelling job advertisement, is it? If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. So how badly do you want to be happy? Amen.